Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of This Woman Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, career strategist for the mature Black woman. So I am really excited. I'm always excited to have my guest this week, Madeline McQueen. Now, Madeline's career spans 35 years, and you can say she doesn't look a day over 21, during which she has graced the stage to inspire the workforces of brands ranging from Saatchi & Saatchi and Ogilvy to Google, Sky and Nike. Married for 27 years, she's the mother of 2 adult daughters, and she's now proudly in her 50s. She has an eclectic mix of learnings, anecdotes, and experiences that she shares freely with her audience on the speaking circuit. I think this kind of summed up, give you a little background to where the strength of Madeline, where she says in a single year, she experienced a miscarriage, her husband's business collapse, and they had to sell the house to go into rented accommodation, which took her on a self-development journey that now underpins her methodology and practice. And if that doesn't, epitomize turning lemons into lemonade, I don't know what is. So I'm going to cut it short there because I'm excited to talk to Madeline and say welcome, Madeline. Welcome to This Woman Can.
Oh, Janice, thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Fabulous. And thank you for agreeing to be a guest. Now, I didn't really give a little potted history. I didn't want to take away your thunder. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
So I am the youngest of 6 girls born to Caribbean parents from Barbados and Antigua. Grew up in Leicester originally. Met my husband, who many people tend to know and follow because he's always on LinkedIn, Madeline McQueen. When we were I think I was just before my 19th birthday. So we've been married for 28 years, together for 35. And I moved to London, started my life in customer service for insurance company, moved, took a psychometric test for another insurance company and came out as the ideal salesperson. So started as a financial advisor for them, and then eventually moved on to being in IT sales, from a small company to a pretty big company, and won what we call spiffs, some big ones too. So they are competitions based on my work, and sold some of the most Toshiba laptops in the country one year and sent on holiday and all of that jazz. Had my first child, which was challenging. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist as well. I am no longer, but that was my background. And when I got to my second child, my husband had just started a new business, and I actually had a miscarriage and then got pregnant again really quickly. He started a business, and then the whole market of that business dropped. But I was then with 2 children, one about to go to school, one at home. The cost of trying to do it all was just so I kind of started a different life of doing a little bit of consulting here, sales consulting, sales coaching, then business consulting, business coaching. I did a course in coaching and realized halfway through it, I really should have done the business course. And then what I started doing is just consulting, doing more business consulting, business coaching, and realizing I'm spending a lot of time helping the business owners kind of to own their value, own their confidence, because it was seeping out all over the place. And I suppose that, several years ago, I just put my stake in the ground and said, okay, I'm going to just focus on leaders, because that's who I end up spending all my time with. And that's what I really started doing, executive coaching, working with leaders, based on my methodology of clarity, confidence, and empowerment. And it's a bit of an equation, which is clarity plus confidence over an empowerment equals thrive. And I am all about a life that thrives. I am so done with survival. I've been there. We had to sell the house, start all over again, 72p in my pocket, done it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, there is survival, and there's survival and there's thriving. I just want to thrive.
Yeah.
That's how I got here.
and I'm listening to you, and there's so many little synergies that you said, well, the Antiguan connection for one, similar career paths. Like I started in sales because sales, customer call centers and stuff, work my way through. So, and like you say, glory girl, win the rewards. You do it because you're good at it. It's not because you've got a special thing. It's just the fact you enjoy doing it and you're really good at it. So let me reap what it brings. So many synergies. So thanks so much for sharing that.
Fine.
So in that journey, I suppose, and the latter part of the journey, we talked about being in our 50s, and I'm really interested in the journeys of that. So what would you say has been some of the biggest challenges having the career in this age, in this era?
Honest,
Yes.
One of the biggest challenges is recognizing that I am not a spring chicken. That and I think this is really important. It's like, you know, going through perimenopause, being awake at night, running to the toilet, not being able to, like, being on a client call and not being able to hold my pee. And the reason why I say this is it's the stuff we don't talk about. I feel like I got to my kind of late 40s, 50s. And it's so funny, the conversation I have seemed to have with a lot of women, especially Black women, is nobody told us. Nobody told us. And what that then means for working, what that means for being in your career. And I mean, here I'm like, I'm super ambitious in the way maybe I was ambitious, but you get to 50 and there is a level of freedom you have never had before. Like for me, my children are 21 and 25. You know, I earn more than I did. I mean, when I was in sales, I had great money, but you know, now it's like, this is all on me. I can create my space. But I think the real challenge is navigating the things nobody told you about being in. Great freedom, but actually your body's not where it was. And that means you've got to work at it so much harder, you know, and they're my biggest challenges.
And it's interesting because we were having a little off camera joke about Black don't crack and how we look and stuff like that. And I think when you're in the corporate environment, because you look younger than you are, there's an assumption that not so much mentally, but physically, maybe you can do more than expected. So if we're going to work you.
That is so true. And I experience that all the time with my clients, which is, you know, they are working twice as hard, which is a recipe for disaster. We were taught something that actually doesn't work. And so they are looking older. They are, you know, they are going through this stuff, but still expected to be on, you know, 150%. And it's just, it's crucifying for many of them. And I know for me, as much as I want to go, there's more of my kind of thing I keep reminding myself is less is more. Less is more.
And it's good you say that, because I went through a phase where I suppose even transitioning out of corporate to entrepreneurship, where I felt I had to be working every single hour. I felt I wasn't successful, and I always equated, as growing up, Caribbean parents, hard work equals success. You can't be sitting there looking like you're doing nothing. There's always something. Little idle hands. There's always praise. There's always something. You know.
The devil finds work, but idle hands.
That's the word. So that's the thing. You know. So you always had to be kept busy. So that analogy. So that feeling of like, I'm not working hard enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not getting the success. Then having to have a word with myself and realize, in the corporate world, Janice, you had a whole team of people behind you who were doing things. You're kind of on your own now. And how are you measuring? The big thing for me is reimagining success. What does success look like for me? You know, as we mature, it changes. Our values change. Back in the day, it was the car, the house, the this, the that. Now I'm just like, gosh, give me a couple hours in my garden, I'm good.
I think that's so true. I had a conversation with a friend recently who was giving herself a really hard time because she's transferred from, you know, being in corporate and to running her own business. And there's lots of challenges that come with that.
Yes.
I actually have to say to her, you need to change your definition of failure
Yes.
and your definition of what success looks like for you. I think that many of us, a question I ask all the time is, whose voice is in your head?
Yeah.
And many of us, it's not even our own voice.
Yes.
It's somebody else's,
Absolutely.
maybe a parent or a teacher or our first manager.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we're still racing against this and trying to operate on their terms. But I think this is a beautiful age to go, well, what are my terms?
Yes.
How do I want to live my life? And what does living my life on my terms
Absolutely.
look like, you know?
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So conversely, then, we said what the challenges are. What has been the best thing about mid-career change?
I think it's freedom. I mean, I'm still operating, freedom is something that I feel at this age, it's almost like testing. Okay, that means I'm ending up doing too much, or that means I'm not doing enough, or whatever, right? So you're still testing your freedom levels. I know I certainly am. But I think that, and also I think the best thing about this mid-career time, I don't care.
I hear that one more time.
I do not care.
Yeah.
And I call myself an undercover activist. Yes, Rosie number 2 is Tim Okumura. He paints, but I'm like, I've loved this painting for quite some time, and I decided I was going to buy the print of it. But also there's a message here every damn day when I'm on, regardless of what my client looks like, they're going to see this Black woman going like this. And it's like, I recognize that so often we have made ourselves very, very small in order to fit into spaces that we don't deserve us, in all honesty. So where I'm at now, I think where you can be at this age is when you let go of dependency on somebody else for your validation. I think that's what happens at this age. Then actually, okay, knock yourselves out. That's literally where I'm at. I love that.
Yeah, and there is something about that. I must admit, the amount of women I ask the question and they say to me, I don't care. I don't have to answer. I even remember doing that in my own career when the younger leaders would come to me and say, Janice, how are you so open to saying what's on your mind? And I'm like, because you know what? This isn't the career end for me. This is not a trajectory. I just happen to be here. It's serving a purpose right now for me, but it's not where I envisage myself being. That's not the plan. That's not the plan. So I'm good, and I always tell my bosses, I said, I don't work for you. I work with you. You need to understand. You need to understand that.
Janice, that is a word.
I work with you, but I don't work for you. I'm a big woman. You can't be telling me this. No, this is not working for me. So so the freedom and the letting go of what other people's opinions is such a powerful thing. Thanks for sharing that. So you've done these changes, you've embarked on this mid-career change, but what do you wish you had known when you embarked on it, reflecting back?
I think the thing I maybe wish I had known was nobody knows. And what I mean by that is I find, especially people who are operating in entrepreneurship and then clients who are asking, who are earning at a particular level, and maybe haven't asked for what they should have done, is this assumption that, how can I explain it? Like, we assume that everybody almost knows what's in our head and nobody knows.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you might be absolutely, wetting your pants about saying whatever it might be, right? So you can say, I don't care, right? So about asking for a number, for example.
Yeah.
Naturally, if you just asked, without thinking about what will they think, that I think I wish I had been. I've always been quite bolshy, but I really wish I was able to have not got in my head as much about what I thought it meant,
Yeah.
and just asked for more.
Yeah.
Like, and just ask for more. That would be my thing. You can only, I mean, my background in sales, yours is too. As
Yeah.
you know, it's very rare to negotiate up. You're
Yeah.
only ever going to negotiate down. So
Yeah.
you might as well ask for more, because nobody knows that you're
Yeah.
scared on
Yeah.
the inside.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
go for it.
And,
Go for it.
and it's interesting you said that. So what do you think what did you think that was going in your head? What do you think would have happened if you did ask?
I think that sometimes what the fear is always going to be rejection.
Yeah.
It's going to be rejection, and that rejection is linked to validation.
Mm.
Like, if they reject me, what does that mean about me? Maybe I'm
Yeah.
not good enough. Maybe I asked for too much. Maybe they see me as this. Maybe they see me as that. And actually, we kind of, again, it goes back to, we need to kind of not care, because
Yeah.
the more almost flagrant we are about it, the more people go, oh, okay, she means it. You know,
Mm.
she's
Mm.
not bothered. And
Mm.
desperation is always a thing that that repels people. But
Mm.
actually, that confidence in what you have to say, even if you
Yeah.
may not feel 100% confident, but just by saying it
Yeah.
and going, they don't know what's in my head. They don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm
Yeah.
just going to say it.
And,
Whatever that might be.
yeah. And the thing for me is that I say to my client, I said, look, but if they say no, how has your position changed? Because you're no worse off than when you asked, because it's still the status quo. But the good thing is, at least you know where you stand. If you know, so I've been in that position and I've said, okay, so you don't think I'm worth it, but somebody else out there does.
And also, you don't ask, the answer is always
Always
no.
no,
So you
absolutely.
might as well just give, you got 50-50
Yeah,
chance. But
yeah,
again, then no. And also, it does, I think, I say this all the time, good questions, it's a quote, good questions inform, great questions transform. And our questions create our world. And that's two different quotes, two different people. I can't, for the life of me, don't ask
I'll
me
go
who.
for it.
Don't ask that question. That's why they're always on my presentations written out with the name, because otherwise I've got no chance. But I think that, the thing about that is, I love that, our questions create our world. And because we don't ask, we don't know what is or is not possible. And even if you got to know, you can ask some more questions, which
Yes.
is, okay, well, what stopped you going ahead? Or,
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
would have to happen for that to be
yeah,
my
yeah,
reality?
yeah,
You can gain information, and the more, but we're kind of almost, oh, I don't want to ask a stupid question, or I don't want them to see me in this way. But actually, the more you stop making it about them, and the more you
yeah,
make it about your need,
yeah.
you're going to ask so much more. And I, so for me, I think when I was first making my changes and I was a little bit, it's like, actually, it doesn't really matter what's going on for them. What's going on for you?
Fabulous. I love that. It's a great piece of advice. Definitely a great piece of advice. So, Madeline, I'm not going to second guess this, but describe one of your biggest challenges and how you overcame it and the lessons you learned.
Oh, one of my biggest challenges. Okay. So we went through a really, really hard time financially. So David's business went under. I was home with, like a 4-year-old and a baby. And we had to sell our house and start all over again. And during that time, it was that we just really struggled in so many different ways. Struggled to pay the bills, bailiffs at the door, all of those sorts of things. And, if you've been through, gone through, and I remember kind of going, why on earth, why me? Like, why this? And there's a really good message in that, is that if you have never been through, then how are you going to help other people go through?
Yeah.
You no understanding. And also, you have to go through to get through. But it was really hard. And I never forget my husband. We had sold our house, we were living in a bungalow, rented accommodation, getting letters, checks bouncing, all of this sort of stuff. And I remember feeling just so weighed down by problems. Like everywhere I turned, there was another problem. I used to say that we lived in the house of broken things. You know, the everything broke. Like when you're broke, it's like everything breaks. So, you know,
Yeah.
the bookcase was leaning, you know, the television got broken, it fell on the floor. You know, it's just like everything seemed to be broken. And then obviously when you're in that situation, you can't repair things. And I used to say we live in a house of broken things. And I remember we got a letter one day from the bank, which was just another letter saying, yeah, you are in a problem.
Yeah.
And I went to David and said, I think we're cursed. And we kind of hugged them and we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And it was in that moment when I realized, oh my goodness, I've spent all my time focused on problems. I've spent all my times looking at how terrible this all is. And actually, my entire story, when I met people, I talk about, oh, we went through a really hard time. We had to sell our house, start all over again. It's been a real challenge. Like it was just seeping out of me everywhere I went. And it was so challenging because, you know, you've got children, there's things that they need. Another letter comes in from school asking for, yeah, another. I mean, some of them, they just bam, 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 one after the other, all requesting money. And then there's World Book Day, and now I've got to dress my child in some way. So, um, and I just, in that moment, something clicked. And it was like the reason why you keep having more problems, so many challenges, because that's what you're focused on. Start focusing on solutions. And
Yeah.
I think that was the day
Yeah.
life changed. It
Yeah.
didn't change overnight,
Yeah.
but everything started to shift because I shifted my thinking. So I started looking for solutions. And it's really funny because in 2 weeks, it was like 2007, 2 weeks, we created this program and sold 10 grand's worth of business. And we were working in schools. So
Yeah.
that was at the time, a lot of business. And it was like, this is what's possible when you focus on what's possible.
Yeah.
And that's been my focus ever since. Do I have my ups and downs? Yes. But focusing on solutions has made a really big difference. And for what's possible has made a massive difference to my life.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I love that because I always tell people I have a bit of a MacGyver mindset. I said, I can see there's a problem there. I just haven't found the solution yet. And when I find it, it may not be pretty, but it's going to work. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can make, and that's the other thing is you can make it work. And actually, once you become more solution focused, you know, and I think I always was, but this situation had
just brings it
fallen me
down.
down.
Yeah.
But when you do, it's amazing how many solutions you can find.
Yeah.
And like you said, it doesn't have to be pretty, it just needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So thanks for sharing that. So then conversely, then what's been your biggest career triumph? I like to get the highs and the lows.
I've had quite a few, to be fair. So this year I won an award in the background from Inspirational Women. I never knew it was a big deal. And
I'm inspirational every day. What is it?
okay, got there and I had been nominated and I was up against some fierce competition. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I won. I went and I was sitting there and I won. And I sat there like, I near called my name. My face was on the screen. I was just like what? And it was such a wonderful feeling because it was I was recognized. And I always say, oh, I don't really win awards. And then this year I've won 3. And it started in January. And what was really, I think actually even more than winning the award was when I posted it on LinkedIn that I had won the most aspirational woman award. And it wasn't a Black award, it was just an award. So of all. And what was so interesting about that, taking nothing away from Black Awards at all, was the amount of people on that post just went wild. And I couldn't believe how many people that I didn't know was like, of course you won. And that was just like, my voice is heard.
Yeah.
And I'm having an impact on people. and a positive one, and that's beautiful.
Mm.
You know, because you don't always
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
the reach of what you do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a real big achievement for me.
Beautiful.
I mean, there have been others, don't get me wrong,
Mm.
I've won this contract, or I've done this and I've done that. But that really touched me in a way, really did. And it spurred me on because it goes, there's more people who need you.
Excellent. So I suppose piggybacking on that then, women listen to this and they're saying, oh, I want my voice to be heard. I feel a little bit invisible. They say you get to 50, you start to be invisible, all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's a problem for either you or I. But for some women out there who feel like, they're falling back into the shadows, they're not being recognized, what kind of tips or advice could you give them? If there's one thing you could share.
You know what I will say? My one thing is, when you're talking, this is the first thing that came to mind. Take up space.
Yeah.
You have the right, and you've earned the experience, you've got the knowledge, take up space. Don't wait for it to be given to you. Take it up. If that means you need to post on LinkedIn, post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If that means you need to speak up in meetings, speak up in meetings. If that means you've got to go and, spend time with the CEO, or ask for a meeting with a senior leader, or go and get yourself a sponsor, or get a coach, or whatever it might be, take up space.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody push you into a corner. Let yourself be seen, be known, and be heard.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I can hear them. I can hear them listening to it going, it's all right for you, Madeline. It's all right for you, Janice. You guys are all confident. But are there any days where you just don't feel that confident?
Absolutely.
And how do you kind of get yourself out of that situation?
Days like that. And I think the reason why, and if you'll allow me to say this, is the reason why we have this perception of confidence is because we've been sold a lie. The lie is you're either confident or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's not true. I mean, since we're talking about women in their 50s, you'll understand it when I say it. Confidence is like a graphic equalizer. The levels going up and down like this? That's confidence, right? It's a muscle. It's like Rosie and her muscle.
Yeah.
We have to work it. It's situational. We've all walked into a job feeling great. Manager was toxic, absolutely broken by the time we left.
Yeah.
It is something that is active. It is temporary. And so, the moment we change our view on what confidence is or isn't, then we stop saying, I'm not confident, or you're confident, and actually stop going, depending on the circumstances, depending on what I am. So where are you most confident? Where confident? Where do you feel most confident? Who are you with when you're most confident? And what does that look like, and why? And then, can we take one or two of those things and put them in a different situation? Like, put me on a table with 10 people. And, look, I'm the 10th most probably. And we've all got to introduce, I tell you, my handbag's here like this. My voice gets high. And I start speaking equestrian English. And I'm like, hello, everybody. I'm kind of cringing inside. Welcome to these people. And then I have to go, like, recently what I've been doing, instead of because David will talk to everybody and I'm just sitting there like a numpty, what I started going is, okay, let me use what I use when I'm on stage. Let me step into that Madeline. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to do those things. So it's just a case of, if you want to get yourself feeling more confident, like, what are the things that boost it? There might be a song that really lifts you. Do that and then go into that meeting. It might be some affirmations. I am amazing. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for years. It might be you need to write a list of all of your achievements, because goodness knows you've done many and don't even log them. But remember, it is not an either or. It is both.
Yeah. Fabulous. I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And you mentioned that you've been voted most aspirational woman. Lovely. So let me ask you, who inspires you? Who do you look to? Who would you have as your mentor if you could?
That's a really hard one because I've never been a kind of person to look to everybody else. I'm the youngest of six girls, so I've always had strong women around me. And my dad died when I was 10, so my mother was super strong. And I take a lot from her. Like, she always had a lawyer on retainer. I'm like, who does that? I have a lawyer on retainer. So I took a lot from her in that respect. And was you always said coordinated. That is my mum. She used to coordinate all six of us. So there's that. And then I also just I don't have specific people as such. I look around and I admire people. There's people I admire. I couldn't even tell, this is tumbleweed in the brain, right? I couldn't even say who specifically, but I take different things from different people, rather than one thing from everybody. I can take a lot of inspiration from a lot of my clients. A lot of them are really making changes, or they're really kind of trailblazing. Some of them have gone through really terrible experiences and they still rise, so I take inspiration from so many different women, in so many different ways. I couldn't literally say, oh, it's just this one. It's so interesting. This month is saluting our sisters, and I realized I haven't done a post with all of my, and I'm like, well, where would I start? My struggle is, where do I start? There are so many that I would not want to miss. So I kind of just gone, hello everybody, you're all amazing, kind of thing.
And that's because we are definitely.
I just think I can look at most Black women, or even just women, who are stepping up and stepping out and gaining something from them.
Fabulous.
So yeah.
Thank you. So we're winding down to our last few questions. So I'll take you out the hot seat. So we're women over 50. We've already said that. But what do you enjoy most about being over 50?
I think I enjoy most that I know in a way that maybe I didn't know as before, is that it's all possible for me. That I know who I am, and that's great.
Yeah, excellent. I like that answer. So, Madeline, what are the 3 things you've learned about yourself during your career?
I am sunshine. It feels so good to say it, because I may never have said that before. I light up a room, and I'm going to own it. Not because I'm not even, I'm not even going to do that. I bring sunshine and light, and that's something I recognize makes a really big difference for me. The second thing across my career is I am solution focused, and I'm always looking for how we can make it possible. I'm going to find a way to make it possible. And the third thing I think I've learned is the limits that you have are the limits that you set on yourself. Is there systematic racism? Yes. Is there gender inequality? Yes. And yet still, you can choose any day of the week, decide what is and is not possible for you.
Fabulous. Love that. So my final official interview question then is, what does success feel like to you?
You went to the field, Janet. You went to the field.
All the fields.
Success feels like doing what I said I was going to do for me, and engaging with or taking all of the support that I can have with me on that journey, knowing that I don't have to do it all myself anymore.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel it. Thank you. That was my last official question. So if people want to connect with you, Madeline, how can they do that?
So there's a few ways. You can go to my site, madelinemcqueen.com, which is Madeline. There's no extra A's or E's or I's in there. It's literally made line. And McQueen doesn't have an A in it, so it's just M small c. And then the other places is LinkedIn. So I am Madeline McQueen on LinkedIn. On Facebook, I think I'm the Madeline McQueen. I think it's the land I don't really go to, like the land time forgot for me at the moment. And Instagram, I am the Madeline McQueen. I came off of Twitter when Elon decided to get involved. So they are the main places. And then also I run a club called the Compass Club. So you can also go to thecompass.club, and that is exclusively for Black and Black mixed heritage women.
Just tell us a little bit more before we wrap up about the Compass Club. So if people listening, women listening, thinking, oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I created it especially for professional Black women over the age of 35. The reason why is because corporate spaces can be lonely places, and it's also a case of sometimes you're made to think you're crazy and you're not. And so I wanted to create a space where we're very good at professional development as Black women, but we're not so great on personal development. And I wanted to create a space where you could develop yourself personally to leverage it for professional success. Because if you don't build the confidence, if you don't know how to ask, then actually you do understand. And secondly, if you keep working twice as hard, you're going to be twice as stuck. And so we do like a gathering once a month. We have a coach up group coaching experience. We have guest speakers come in of women who are, at a high level that you may never know. We have a music library, a film library, we have a book library. We do restorative yoga every Thursday evening at 7:30. It's coming up. It's a space for Black women to connect, find sisterhood, grow.
Fabulous. On that note, as I said, they can find you at thecompassclub.com.
The compass.club.
The compass.club. I'll be sure to put all the links in the show notes. So people
I'll send them to you if you haven't got them already.
That's fine. So thank you so much, Madeline, for your time today. Thank you for being my guest.
Oh, Janice, it's been my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.